They told us it was just a routine recon mission. "Get in. Map the terrain. Get out," Captain Hargrove said, his voice crackling over the briefing comms. "No hostiles, no complications. The war's been over for 40 years. I remember the way he paused, though, like he didn't quite believe his own words. I should have known then that something was off. We were a 6-man team, me, Specialist Ryan Kessler, plus Hargrove, Ortiz, Patel, Simmons, and our comms guy Jenkins. The drop zone was a stretch of nowhere, a battlefield so old it didn't even have a name anymore, just coordinates on a map. Officially, it was a skirmish site from the tail end of the last big war, abandoned since the armistice in '85. Unofficially, it was a black hole. No one went there. No one talked about it. The helo dropped us at dusk, rotors kicking up dust and ash that stung our eyes. The landscape was a graveyard. Rusted tanks half sunk in the dirt, craters filled with stagnant water, skeletal trees clawing at the sky. The air smelled wrong, like wet metal, and something sour I couldn't place. Jenkins fiddled with his radio as we moved out, muttering about interference. "Too much junk metal," he said, "screwing with the signal." We'd been humping through the ruins for maybe 2 hours when it started. A burst of static ripped through our headsets, loud enough to make Ortiz curse and yank his earpiece out. Then, a voice. Faint, garbled, but human. "Mayday, Mayday, this is Echo 29er. We're pinned down, taking heavy fire, requesting immediate evac. Coordinates." The transmission cut off, swallowed by static. Hargrove held up a fist, signaling us to halt. "Jenkins, what the hell was that?" Jenkins frowned, twisting dials on his rig. "No idea, sir. It's not our frec. Sounds old. Analog, maybe. Could be a bounce. Some relic signal stuck in the ether." "Bullshit?" Ortiz muttered. That didn't sound like a recording. Guy was panicking. Hargrove's jaw tightened. "Keep moving. Eyes open." The deeper we went, the worse it got. The distress calls kept coming, sporadic at first, then constant. Always the same voice, Echo 29er, pleading for help, shouting about casualties, artillery, something called the Red Smoke. Jenkins pulled up the archives on his tablet, cross-referencing unit designations. "There's no Echo 29er, he said finally. "Not in any records from the war. No platoon with that call sign ever existed." "Then who's screaming in our ears?" Patel asked, her voice barely above a whisper. No one answered. The sun was gone now, and the battlefield glowed faintly under a gibbous moon. Shadows stretched too long across the ground, twisting in ways that made my stomach churn. Simmons swore he saw movement near a collapsed bunker, but when we swept it, there was nothing. Just a shredded uniform sleeve caught on barbed wire, faded and brittle. Around midnight, we found the source. Jenkins triangulated the signal to a ravine on the eastern edge of the grid. It was a nasty drop, choked with debris and old ordnance. At the bottom sat a wrecked comm station, antennas bent, consoles smashed, but the lights were on, flickering like they were still hooked to a power source. Hargrove ordered us to hold position while he and Ortiz rappelled down to check it out. The calls were louder now, so clear we could hear the guy's ragged breathing. "Lost half my men. They're everywhere. Goddamn red smoke's burning us alive. Where's the evac?" Then, a scream. Wet, gurgling, final, silence. Hargrove's voice crackled over our comms. "Kessler, get down here. You need to see this." I slid down the rope, boots crunching on broken glass. The comm station wasn't abandoned. There were bodies, dozens of them, sprawled across the ravine floor. Uniforms like nothing I'd ever seen, gray-green with insignia I didn't recognize. Their gear was ancient, clunky radios, bolt-action rifles, gas masks with cracked lenses. But the bodies, they weren't skeletons. They were fresh. Skin pale and slick, eyes wide open, mouths frozen mid-scream. Blood still pooled under them, dark and wet. "What the fuck?" Ortiz whispered, crossing himself. Hargrove pointed to a console in the center of the mess. The distress call was looping now, playing from a speaker caked in dust, but the dust was disturbed, like someone had been there minutes ago. I stepped closer, and my flashlight caught something etched into the metal. Echo 29 minus the 17th of October 1985. "That's impossible," I said. "These guys look like they died yesterday." Before Hargrove could respond, Jenkins yelled from the ridge. "Captain, we've got company!" I scrambled back up, heart pounding. Up top, the team was in a loose circle, weapons trained outward. The battlefield wasn't empty anymore. Shapes moved in the dark, slow, deliberate, too many to count. They weren't solid, not exactly. They flickered like bad television reception, silhouettes of soldiers in those same gray-green uniforms. Their faces were wrong, blurred, hollow, like someone had smudged them out. "Hold fire," Hargrove barked, but Simmons was already shaking, finger twitching on his trigger. Then the smell hit us, sharp, chemical, like bleach and copper. A haze rolled in from the east, red, thick, curling around the trees. The radio exploded with static again, Echo 29er's voice cutting through. "It's here! The smoke! It's another scream!" Then nothing. Patel fired first. Her rounds tore through the nearest figure, and it dissolved into static, only to reform a second later. The red smoke was closer now, stinging my eyes, coating my throat. I coughed, tasted blood. The shapes kept coming, silent except for the faint hum of their flickering forms. "Fall back!" Hargrove shouted, but the ravine was behind us, and the smoke was everywhere. Jenkins went down first, tripped, grabbed by something I couldn't see. He clawed at the ground as the haze swallowed him, his screams cutting off like a switch flipped. We ran. I don't know how long. Minutes. Hours. The battlefield twisted around us, landmarks shifting, the moon vanishing behind that red veil. Ortiz was next. I saw him stumble, saw the shape swarm him, saw his face blur out as he fell. I don't remember reaching the extraction point. I just know I was alone when the helo lifted off, the pilot yelling about losing contact with the team. I kept my headset on, listening to the static, waiting for Echo 29er to call again. He didn't. They debriefed me for days. I told them everything, the bodies, the smoke, the platoon that never existed. They said it was stress, hallucinations, maybe a gas leak from old munitions. But I saw the looks they exchanged. They knew something. Last night I found an old cassette in my gear bag. I don't know how it got there. When I played it, it was him, Echo 29er, screaming about the smoke, begging for help. At the end, he said my name, Kessler, clear as day. I haven't slept since. Every time I close my eyes, I see that red haze creeping closer. And last night, my radio turned on by itself. Static, then a whisper. "We're still here." I've tried to keep this buried. They made us sign stacks of NDAs, legal threats, promises of ruined careers, the whole deal. But it's been 6 months since that day, and I can't close my eyes without hearing it. That slow, relentless thudding, like a heartbeat from something that shouldn't exist. I wake up soaked in sweat, checking my windows, my locks. I need to tell someone, even if it's just you strangers on here. Maybe typing it out will stop the nightmares. Maybe it'll make me feel less alone with it. It started with a drill. I'm Army Sergeant Dan Carter, stationed at a nowhere base in the Midwest we'll call Fort Grayson. It's one of those Cold War relics, half forgotten, surrounded by flat, empty fields that stretch forever. Most of the base is crumbling, rusted barbed wire, peeling paint, bunkers sinking into the dirt. We'd run exercises in the upper levels, comms checks, mock evacuations, standard stuff to keep us from going stir-crazy. But last September, the brass threw something new at us. They wanted us to explore a sealed-off section of the bunker system. Level 7. No explanation, just orders. Declassified, they said. Structural integrity check. 6 of us drew the short straw. Me, Lieutenant Reese, Private Jenkins, Corporal Ortiz, Private Kim, and Specialist Hayes. Level 7's entrance was at the bottom of the main bunker. A steel door, rusted shut, welded tight, with faded Cyrillic lettering stenciled across it. Someone said it was from a Soviet exchange program in the 60s, back when the US and USSR swapped engineers to flex their muscles. It took us 2 hours with a blowtorch and crowbars to break the welds. When the door finally groaned open, a gust of air hit us, damp, metallic, carrying a faint tang of something alive, like blood or sweat. We figured it was just decades of rot and mildew. Stinks like my uncle's basement, Jenkins quipped, forcing a grin. We grabbed our gear, headlamps, radios, sidearms, and started down. The stairwell was wrong from the start. The blueprints said level 7 was shallow, 50 feet down, a storage block for supplies or spare parts. But the concrete steps kept spiraling, 100 feet, 200, maybe more. Our radios fizzled out after the first turn, static swallowing our check-ins. Reese, a hard-ass with a buzz cut and zero patience, switched us to hand signals and waved us on. The air got colder, heavier, pressing against our lungs. Jenkins tried another joke, guessed the elevator budget ran dry, but his voice echoed too long and no one laughed. We hit bottom, after what felt like forever. A corridor stretched out, narrow, lined with steel walls reinforced like a vault. Our headlamps carved weak tunnels of light through the dark. The beams caught on something, claw marks, deep and jagged, raked into the metal. Not clean cuts, frantic, desperate gouges, some so deep they bent the steel. Ortiz ran a gloved finger along one and whispered, "What the hell could do this?" Hayes, our wiry history buff, adjusted his glasses and muttered about bears or wolverines getting trapped during construction. Happened at old sites sometimes, he said, but his voice shook. We nodded, clinging to the idea, even though we all knew no animal could have survived down here. The corridor branched into rooms, cells, really. Each had a thick glass window, clouded with grime, and a bolted steel door. Through the murk, we saw shapes, rusted cots bolted to the floor, overturned tables, chains hanging limp from the walls. One cell had a mattress torn to shreds, fibers scattered like snow, stained with dark, crusty patches. Kim, the quiet one, found a clipboard half buried in dust. The paper was brittle, yellowed, but the ink held. Dated October 1962. A log. Names, times, dosages. Words like specimen, containment, sedation threshold. Reese skimmed it, his jaw tightening. This wasn't storage, he said, voice low. This was a prison or a lab. We should have turned back. Every instinct screamed it. Mine. Ortiz's, even Reese's, though he'd never admit it. But orders were orders, and he wasn't the type to flinch. Keep moving, he signed, pointing down the hall. So we did. The corridor ended at a vault door, massive, 10 feet tall, solid steel, with a wheel lock rusted stiff. A faded sign hung above it. Restricted. Authorized personnel only. The claw marks were thickest here, radiating out like a cracked windshield. Whatever made them had spent a long time trying to break through. Hayes found a control panel nearby, its wires chewed and frayed. He pulled a battery from his kit, fiddled with it, and after a few sparks the wheel screeched and spun free. The door opened with a hiss, and that metallic stench rolled out, stronger now, laced with something sour and decayed. Beyond was a chamber, huge, swallowing our lights, silent, except for a faint drip somewhere in the dark. Then we heard it, a low, rhythmic thudding, slow, deep, like a heartbeat from something massive. It pulsed through the floor, up our legs, into our chests. Reese signaled us to fan out and advance. My boots stuck with every step, leaving wet smears. I angled my headlamp down and froze. It wasn't water. It was blood, fresh and glossy, pooling in shallow dips, trailing off into the shadows. My stomach lurched, but I kept moving. Jenkins found it first. He stopped dead, his light locked on something ahead. "Lieutenant," he croaked, barely audible. We converged on him, and there it was. It was alive, a sprawling mass of flesh, 15 feet wide, maybe more, glistening under a slick gray membrane. It pulsed faintly, rippling like a lake disturbed by a stone. Tubes and wires snaked from its bulk, connecting to rusted machines along the walls. Monitors with cracked screens, pumps caked in dust. Things that looked medical, but twisted, wrong. The surface shifted, and I saw shapes, hands, faces pressing against the skin from inside, stretching it thin before sinking back. The thudding synced with it, vibrating the air. Ortiz gagged, clapping a hand over her mouth. Kim whispered, "What is that?" Hayes, pale as death, stammered about Cold War experiments, radiation, bioweapons, black-budget horrors the government buried. Reese just stared, then snapped, "We're not equipped for this. Fall back now." That's when it moved. A slit tore open in its side, a wet, ripping sound, and an arm unfolded. Not human. Too long, too many joints, fingers splaying into claws like the ones that scarred the walls. It dragged the mass forward, scraping the floor, and the thudding quickened. The machines flared to life, screens flickering with static and numbers, coordinates, vitals, gibberish. A voice, synthetic and garbled, crackled from a speaker overhead. Containment breach. Protocol engaged. The vault doors started closing, gears grinding. We ran, but Jenkins tripped, his foot snagged in a coil of wires. He screamed as the thing lunged, claws sinking into his leg. Blood sprayed, hot and coppery. Ortiz and I grabbed him, pulling with everything we had. The claws tore free, taking half his calf with them. He howled, going limp, but we dragged him back as the door slammed shut, locking the thing inside. The thudding stopped, or so I thought. We hauled Jenkins up the stairs, his blood slicking the steps. The claw marks seemed fresher now, glinting in our lights, like they'd been carved minutes ago. That sound came back, louder, closer, echoing through the walls. At the top, we barricaded the steel door with anything we could find, crates, a rusted locker, and radioed for evac. Command didn't ask questions. A chopper arrived within the hour, hazmat team in tow, faces hidden behind masks. Jenkins survived, barely. They stitched him up and shipped him off rehab, psych ward, I don't know. The rest of us got debriefed in a windowless room. Structural collapse, they said. Gas leak causing hallucinations. We were told to forget it, threatened with dishonorable discharge if we didn't. They sealed Level 7 again, this time with concrete, and shut down Fort Grayson for good. Official story. Budget cuts. But I can't forget. The nightmares started right after. Dark corridors, that thudding, claws scraping closer. Last week, I drove past the base on my way home. It's fenced off now, signs warning, "No trespassing, U.S. government property." I stopped the car, engine idling, and listened. The wind was still, but I felt it, a faint pulse under the ground, steady and alive. I don't know what they built that bunker to hold. I don't know if it's still down there, waiting, or if it's already out, biding its time. All I know is I hear it every night, and I'm running out of reasons to think it's just my imagination. If you're ever near Fort Grayson, listen close. Tell me I'm not crazy. I've never been one for ghost stories. Growing up, I'd roll my eyes at friends who swore their houses were haunted, or that they'd seen shadowy figures in the woods. I'm a practical guy, joined the Army straight out of high school, worked my way up to specialist, and prided myself on keeping my head screwed on straight. But after what's happened over the last month at Fort Drayton, I don't know what's real anymore. I'm writing this because I need someone to tell me I'm not losing it, or maybe because I need to warn you. I don't know. Just read this and tell me what you think. I got transferred to Fort Drayton about 6 weeks ago. It's a quiet base, tucked away in the pine forests of northern Georgia, nothing like the sprawling chaos of Bragg or Hood. The place felt off from the start. The barracks were old, World War II-era relics with chipped paint and creaky floors, and the other soldiers kept to themselves more than I was used to. No one warned me about anything specific, but I caught a few sideways glances during in-processing, like they were sizing me up for something I didn't understand yet. The first few days were normal enough: physical training at dawn, weapons maintenance, the usual grind. Then, on my fourth night, my phone buzzed at 2:17 a.m. I keep it on silent when I sleep, so the vibration jolted me awake. It was a text from an unknown number, but the message was formatted like an official order. I stared at it, bleary-eyed. The grid coordinates were about 5 miles off base, deep in the woods. No one had briefed me on any ops, and 0300 was less than an hour away. I figured it was a mistake, wrong number, maybe a prank from someone in the unit. I texted back, "Who is this? Verify." No reply. I rolled over, intending to ignore it, but my gut twisted. Orders are orders, right? Even weird ones. Disobeying's not something you shrug off in the Army. So, I didn't go. I stayed in my rack, half expecting military police to bust in and drag me to the commanding officer for missing a mission. Nothing happened. The next morning, though, I woke up to a sound I can't explain, like someone dragging a metal chair across concrete, loud and sharp, right outside my window. I bolted up, heart hammering, and yanked the blinds open. Nothing. Just the empty parking lot and a faint mist curling through the pines. My phone buzzed again, another text. That's when the lights in my room flickered, and the air got heavy, like someone had cranked the humidity to 100. I swear I heard whispering, low, garbled, like a radio tuned between stations. It stopped after maybe 10 seconds, but I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I asked around at chow that morning. Anyone get a weird text last night? Some encrypted order? My squad leader, Sergeant Ramirez, gave me a blank look. "You've been hitting the energy drinks too hard, Specialist." A few guys laughed, but no one owned up to it. I showed Ramirez the texts. He scrolled through them, frowning. "No idea, man. That signature block's gibberish. Looks like a encryption key, but it's not one we use. Probably some asshole messing with you. He told me to report it to comms if it kept up." It did keep up. The next night, another text came at 1:43 a.m. This one felt different. Eliminate trespassers? That's not a recon order. That's a kill order. My hands shook as I read it. I thought about waking Ramirez, but he'd already brushed me off once. Instead, I pulled on my boots, grabbed my ruck, and headed out. I told myself I'd just check it out, see if it was real. If it was a prank, I'd catch the bastard red-handed. The woods around Drayton are thick, the kind of place where the trees swallow sound. I followed the grid cords on my GPS, moving quiet like I'd been trained. At 0230 sharp, I reached Sector 3, a clearing with a rusted barbed wire fence sagging into the dirt. No one was there. No trespassers. No unit. Nothing. I waited, crouched in the shadows, until 0400. The whole time I felt watched, like eyes were boring into my back. When I got back to the barracks, my phone buzzed. Complete? I hadn't done anything. I hadn't seen anyone to eliminate. But the message didn't care. That's when I started wondering if I was losing it. Stress from the transfer, maybe, or sleep deprivation. I reported it to comms later that day. The tech, a skinny E4 named Dawson, ran the number through their system. Blocked. No trace. Could be a burner app, he said, shrugging. You sure you're not screwing with me? I wasn't in the mood to argue. The orders kept coming. Every night, a new one. Recon here, secure there. Always with that encrypted signature. If I obeyed, I'd find nothing but empty woods and that creeping, watched feeling. If I didn't, the consequences hit fast. Once I ignored an order to check a creek bed. At 3 a.m., my door rattled, like someone was pounding on it. No one was there when I checked. Another time, I skipped a patrol, and my bunk was soaked in icy water when I got back, like it'd been dredged from a swamp. No leaks, no spills, just wet. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating much. Ramirez noticed, pulled me aside. You look like hell, Carter. What's going on? I showed him the backlog of texts, dozens now. He went quiet, then said, Take this to the CO. This ain't normal. I did. Captain Ellis listened, stone-faced, then called in the battalion S2 for intel. They traced the messages as far as they could, some off-base server, rerouted through a VPN. We'll handle it, Ellis said. Get some rest. That night, the order was different. Building 17's an old storage shed on the edge of the base. Locked up, half forgotten. I'd never been inside. At 0100, I went, flashlight in hand, telling myself it was finally over. The door was unlocked, creaking open to a dusty room with a single metal chair and a table. A man sat there, back to me, in full dress uniform. His shoulders were stiff, head tilted slightly like he was listening. Sir? I said, voice cracking. Specialist Carter reporting as ordered. He turned, slow, and I froze. His face, God, his face. It was Captain Ellis, but not. His skin was gray, lips cracked, eyes sunken like he hadn't slept in years. A jagged scar ran across his throat, old and puckered. I knew that scar. I'd seen it in a photo during in-processing a memorial wall for soldiers killed in action at Drayton. Captain James Ellis, killed in a training accident in '98. Dead for 27 years. You've been inconsistent, Specialist, he rasped, voice like wind through dry leaves. Orders are absolute, you'll learn. I bolted, didn't think, just ran, through the woods, past the barracks, until my lungs burned. When I finally stopped, My phone was dead. No texts, no proof. The next day, I went to the commanding officer, our Ellis, the living one. He looked rattled when I told him. Building 17's been sealed since the 90s, he said. No one's got keys. He sent an officer to check. They found it locked, empty, no chair, no table, just dust. The texts stopped after that. I'm on leave now, crashing at a buddy's place off base. I keep checking my phone, waiting for it to buzz. Last night, I woke up to that dragging sound again, metal on concrete, coming from the hall. My buddy swears he didn't hear it. I don't know what's real anymore. Was it a ghost? A glitch? Something worse? All I know is, if you ever get an unsigned order, don't ignore it. What do you guys think? Am I crazy, or is something messed up at Fort Drayton?